We are talking sugar washes, what they're good for, and my general thoughts on the topic. Let's get stuck in. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, and this is still at the channel all about chasing the craft of home distillation and making it a legitimate hobby. All right, I have had a bunch of questions on sugar washes lately, and my hypothesis is that we've got, due to current events around the world and people being stuck at home with more time on their hands, so on and so forth, a whole lot of new distillers getting into the hobby, and sugar washes obviously are a really attractive way to get into this hobby. A sugar wash utilizes sugar, obviously, instead of a grain or whatever else you're going to use to supply food to your yeast to turn into alcohol. And there's two reasons that you'd want to do this. Number one is that it is a whole lot easier. You don't have to go through the process of making a mash to convert starch into consumable sugar for your yeast. And number two is it is a whole lot more cost effective than what it takes to do it with grain, for example. There's kind of two different avenues that we can go down here with sugar wash. One is for vodka, and then the other is to appropriate, I guess would be the best word, or imitate a whiskey-ish kind of product, or a product that's generally made with grains. Let's talk about the vodka first. So first of all, I have yet to make a vodka with anything but sugar. So that's probably something I should get on to doing. If there's something you guys want to see me make a vodka out of other than sugar, drop a comment in the comment section down below. I'd be interested to see what you have to say. Part of me thinks that at some point in time I have to do potatoes. I feel like I have to at some point. Anyway, back to sugar washes. Like I said, I've yet to make a vodka with anything but sugar. And the reason for that is that when I'm making vodka, I distill it to a high ABV. I'm not really looking for a huge contribution of flavor from the wash, although I really think that the idea of any spirit that is not influenced by what is in the wash, a completely neutral spirit, I just don't think it exists. Everything I've had so far has had some influence from the wash. But I'm not looking for a big influence. I'm looking for a little bit. Something like Teddy Sad's fast fermenting vodka, something like the tomato paste wash. I know people talk really highly of the kale wash as well. The idea here is that we're just putting something in there to give the yeast enough nutrients to do their job, and the things that we use to give the nutrients to the yeast have some impact on the flavor and kind of molds the finished product in a certain direction. Some of them take it a little bit further, like Teddy Sad's fast fermenting vodka, which that is what I want in a vodka. I want it to be easy to make, I want it to be cheap, I want to be able to make a fairly large amount of it so I can have it sitting. I've got 10 liters of 95% sitting over here at the moment to make, like the fishy mango stuff that went horrible a week or two back. I've got some berry vodka on the go at the moment. I like making gin out of it. That's what it's for. It sits over there and I use it for other things. So a sugar wash is perfect for that, in my opinion. If you're really into vodka and you really want to make a vodka that's just the way you want it, maybe you want to look at doing all grain vodka or making vodka for something else. That's entirely up to you. And like I said, maybe I will try it at some point in time. Anyway, back over to this side, which is the grain impersonation, the grain appropriation sort of side of things. Now we're talking very much about something like UJSSM. I think is a perfect candidate for this. Most of you guys will know what it is. If you do not, check this video out up here where I made some. And from the get-go, I have to say this is an awesome recipe, and I think it has a huge place in home distilling. But let's have a little talk about it. First of all, let's have a look at the plus side of something like this. Like we said before, it's cheaper and it is easier. And for people that are getting into the hobby, that is a huge advantage, a huge advantage. Being cheap means that you can experiment with things, and the cost of experimentation, the cost of messing up, the cost of things just not working out quite the way you wanted them to go way down. So I think for people getting into the hobby, that's awesome. That's a great thing. And the second thing, the time involved is exactly the same. If you're new to this hobby and you want to experiment, if you're new to the hobby and you want to try different things, distill it different ways, mess around with how you age it, all of those sort of things, the amount of time that you put in, if that's smaller, it means that it's just easier for you to back off a little bit, let go, and just try things without it having to be right. But does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And because of those two things, I think it's an excellent gateway recipe for people to move towards making or impersonating whiskies that they already like. You know, the stuff that they can buy off the shelf or stuff they've had from other people or whatever it happens to be. And I also think, considering how it's made, it can actually make a really nice product. It can make something that is quite nice. But at the end of the day, do I think it is as good as something that you could make with all grain? No, I really don't think it is. For me! But remember guys, this is a completely objective hobby. You're making it for yourself. It's for personal use only, right? Like that's what we're here. We're here to make stuff for us to drink. So everything has to be enjoyable for you. That's for you to work out. That's for you to figure out. So if you enjoy the process of making UJSSM and you loathe the process of mashing, then what's the problem? Keep making the UJSSM. If you love the way that the UJSSM tastes, same deal. Keep making the UJSSM. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no like, you need to level up to all grain. It's not how this works. It's for you. Do it your way. But when people get in touch with me and they say, there's just something missing from my UJSSM, it doesn't taste quite the way that I want it to taste. At the end of the day, I just don't feel like it is ever going to be as good as a product that is made as well as an all grain recipe. That's just my thoughts. That's the way I see it. And from the things that I've tried, the things that I've tasted, the things that I've made, the things that I've sampled from other people, that's the conclusion that I've come to. I can't quite put my finger on it and explain it. It's hard to explain, but there is a lack of flavor and complexity to me in a sugar wash appropriation or approximation of a whiskey, for example. There's a slightly less depth flavor, and I think it's probably got more to do with the mouthfeel. It just doesn't feel as it just doesn't feel as thick and full and rounded to me. And I kind of feel like there's something going on with sugar where it gives you a slightly odd mouth feel. It's kind of something similar to astringency. Not that it's in any way actually similar to astringency, but what I mean is that it's not really a flavor, it's not really a mouthfeel, it's kind of somewhere in between. And I talked to Bearded and Board about this recently, and he suggested I experiment with inverted sugar. So that might be something I'll do at some point as well. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest, put it out here in a video so that people are asking this question of me, I can direct you here, so you can get a bit more of an in-depth idea of my thoughts on the topic rather than, you know, a two-sentence type that I can do in Facebook or whatever. So I need to say a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, team. I cannot do this stuff without you, and I really do appreciate your support. It's so great. If you're finding value in the videos, the podcast, the website, whatever it happens to be, and you'd like to help directly contribute to the channel, you can go to chasethecraft.com/support to find out all the different ways that you can help out. One of them being, if it's right for you, Patreon. Just a reminder, guys, for those of you that are on Patreon, we have the new Chase the Craft Yeti merch. And the way this works, team, is when you sign up, if you sign up to a tier that has that reward, on the third month that you're signed up, Patreon will send that directly out to you. So I'm working on getting some sample stuff in here so I can show you guys. Anyway, so I hope if you're new to distilling and you're trying to decide which way you want to go, whether you want to stick with sugar washes for a while, whether you want to jump straight into all grain, I hope that helped out a bit. To summarize, all grain, I think it's better. Objectively, I just think it tastes better for my taste, for my preference. But there's a whole nother learning curve that comes along with that can be tricky. Sugar washes are a great way for the new distiller to get into the hobby, to learn it, to hone their craft, to chase that craft before they tackle the next sort of hurdle and the next learning curve, which is making your own mashes. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a whole lot. Drop a comment in the comment section down below if you have something to say about this, if you have something to add to it, or if you have a question. And if you like these videos and you want to make sure you keep seeing them, hit the subscribe button down below. That'll help me out a whole lot. I'll catch you next time, guys. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.